The biggest battle we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will share concepts, universal laws, and interviewing individuals who have done just that, who have gone through the dark times and through those moments allowed their light to shine bright. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast and taking this journey with me as we discover different avenues to break through those limits, expand your reality, and evolve into the person you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Everyone, and welcome to another episode on the Mindful Experiment. There is so much happening in the world that I thought it was very critical to share this. And I've been sharing since March different things on how to face different aspects with fear, with COVID. Now we have riots and we got protests and we have all these different things going on in America. And we're seeing also internationally that what is this trying to tell us, right? What is this here to share with us to help us? Because I truly believe in all my research and my own experiences in life and also coaching and working with other individuals that this whole human experiment, this whole process of being from an infinite being coming into from non-physical to the physical form and to have this experience away from the bliss of what we had is really here to help us evolve. And everything in our life is here to help us in some way, shape, or form. It's here to help us grow, evolve, expand as a soul, have an experience, understand or feel what it is to be separate, because in the spiritual world, you never are, and so much more. And I truly believe that we are at a time where the mind is starting to be challenged. And I really believe that there is a point in time now that we keep getting faced with things. And a lot of people are coming from an intellectual standpoint, which then is easily to be manipulated, controlled, and so much more. Here's why. Like, for example, I research from a health standpoint, and a lot of different things related to the body. I research probably about 2 to 4 hours a week. I've been doing this consistently since I came out of school. And so you can add up the hours. If we average, let's go on the low end of 2 hours a week, that's 104 hours a year. That's 1,040 hours that I've done, looked at research, journals, articles, and so much more. And that's on the minimum. Now, why do I bring that up is because what I've learned over this process is that there is easy ways to be manipulated if you come from the mind, because numbers can always be looked at in different perspectives, and then they can be controlled, they can be manipulated, and they can be projected on to fit a narrative or an agenda or whatever that may be. Why am I bringing that up is because in my book, A Walk in the Dark, I talk about the importance of intuition. I talk about how we have to go to that place to really grasp what life is trying to teach us. Too many times in today's society, especially in an information era, we focus on what fits our mind or what we want to understand intellectually. And the problem is you miss the boat. And I talk about this vastly in my book. I highly, highly recommend checking it out. I'm actually going to be doing a huge special on it. You can check out the link below as I'm offering the book basically for free. All you have to do is pay $5 for shipping and handling. That is my cost to get it out to you guys. And I'm going to be doing that to really just with everything going on and so much more. I'm actually going to be doing something with Amazon too. So take a look. It'll all be in the show note links for you to get connected to where you get a copy of the book for free and so much more. The key thing behind it is that we really have to tap into that place, because then there becomes this understanding from a deeper level and you kind of see through the noise. You see, you can talk a lot and you can manipulate and change or try to program or shift or have someone see your specific perspective. But when you tap in to that intuitiveness, it doesn't matter what someone says, you're seeing behind the words. Now, let me explain this because I like to bring science behind this so you can understand where I'm coming from. People who have studied communication, like myself, not as a communication as a major. I'm just talking about the art of communication, body language, how do we communicate, the words we use, all the stuff that comes into play, tone, and so much more. Research has shown that 93% of the time, when you are listening to someone, 93% of it's nonverbal, which means body language plays a little over 50%. The rest of that is going to be the tone of the voice. And then 7% is the words you choose. When you tap into the intuition side, you actually are picking up on body language. You're picking up on cues, and it's not from an intellectual standpoint. You can do that. But this is more from a place where you're just feeling the person out, and you're picking up on the tone, the words they're choosing, but more importantly, their body language. And you can kind of see where they're really coming from. When I coach with individuals, they always get amazed by how do I know where they're coming from, or how do I know to explain something in a certain way. And it's because I tell them that I'm not really listening to the words as much as I'm listening to your tone. And then I'm also, if I'm in front of them or seeing them from video, your body language. And that's giving me more information than the words you're choosing. And the thing I'm trying to bring this up is that from an intuition standpoint, if we start to tap there, we can truly see the truth behind things. And all of a sudden, you start to seem, it may come off as others to be a little crazy. And the reason why is because you're starting to live your life to the beat of your own drum. You're not being persuaded and programmed in many different ways. Black Lives Matter, right? I've been called out on this a couple times, and I always say all lives matter. But here's the thing. You wouldn't be saying Black Lives Matter unless something happened that the media is portraying you to want you to pay attention to and program you in a certain way. I always say we're all part of the human race, right? We're all part of the human race, no matter what you say. Humans to me are humans. And for me, I see everybody as brothers and sisters. My wife would always be like, why do you tell someone, hey, brother, thank you so much? Or thanks so much, brother, I appreciate that. And sometimes she's like, some people may be offended by that. And I'm always like, listen, if they're offended, I'll explain why I do that. If they're offended, I will tell them I see you as a brother and a sister. Here's the bottom line of this. A conscious man will never see the difference in color of the skin. They see the soul of the individual within them. That's a conscious individual. And so when we look at from a standpoint of intuition, we don't want to, when you're in from a state of intuition, you don't let things outside of you distract you, persuade you, or fire you up. So many people are distracted in so many ways, from COVID to the riots that are going on in the world to another COVID rage and all these other things, that the media has you on your edge waiting for the next thing. And what that does from a neurological standpoint is it starts to get you faster and to be more reactive. It starts to have you live in your temporal lobe, specifically the amygdala, and you keep firing that amygdala up. You may have fired it up when I said all lives matter versus Black Lives Matter, because all lives matter to me. And if it's one or the other, I look at that at the same level. And that might have fired up your amygdala, and that's okay. But the thing is, you programmed yourself to fire it up more and more to become more reactive. And the more you fire the amygdala, the more your critical thinking goes away. The more you can see beyond what's being presented goes away. The more you become distracted, and the more you start to not live the life you want. Then you wonder why 6 months down the road, you're not where you want to be. 12 months down the road, you're not where you want to be. It's because you got distracted from the noise. You see, I go back to this all the time, and I really believe this is huge, that The Matrix is something that I recommend everybody to watch over and over and over again. Because The Matrix is really, there's so many ways you could take this. And I had a professor in chiropractic school who would really go back and reference The Matrix all the time. And he would give insights that I didn't even see, which was fascinating. And then I started watching it over and over to see the deeper insights. But there's a thing about The Matrix where once, controlling the mind, and people are not unplugged. They want to be unplugged, but they don't know that they're plugged into a system. And when you show them how to be unplugged, they freak out. Like, this is not what it's abnormal. And so in order to be unplugged, in order to be not controlled, in order to live your life the way you want and stay focused, you must tap into intuition. You must focus on your intuition at all times. Intuition is going to be the key to where it opens the door, and you allow for your soul to guide you rather than your mind to guide you. See, there's two levels to life. There's the human perspective and the spiritual perspective. There's always the human side, right? And we can get deep into the human side when we look at the fear of COVID. You look at the Black Lives Matter and all these other things. That's the human side of things. But the spiritual side says all human lives matter. All human lives matter. That's the spiritual side. The spiritual side doesn't see something happening as bad or good. They always see the good in it because of what's going to come out of it. Does that make sense? Awareness to police brutality, awareness to the injustice to Black Americans, injustice to the judicial system. I mean, I'm very well versed on the judicial system and how they play a role with things. I've even seen studies that it's not about black or white. It's about just the appearance of the individual gives them a different sentence. The appearance, the image of them gives them a different sentence. You can Google this stuff. It's all out there. I highly recommend it. I was very fascinated. I've done a lot of study in psychology on my own, self-learning. And it was always fascinating, kind of like, why is it some people get same case, same murder, same crime, and the sentences are vastly different? I never understood that. And I wanted to understand the basis. And I started understanding that there is prejudice in our judicial system in America, but there's also more about psychology of the image, right? And I've watched shows where they show people like, here's two individuals. Who would you say needs a bigger sentence? Who's more of an evil person just by their looks? And it was fascinating by the looks alone, the individual that didn't look as mean or negative or whatever you want to call it, they got a less sentence than the ones who did. It's fascinating. There's prejudices in everything that we do in society. But it's one of the things where this is a beautiful time to forge your life into what you want to create. It's massive transformation that can happen. There's massive things that can happen for you with COVID happening, potential second wave coming, which is going to be a massive fear again, with all these different distractions that are coming. If you get caught up in the storm, if you go outside the eye of the storm, you are going to get caught up in the chaos and you're going to miss the boat of creating massive transformation in your life. You're going to miss the boat when it comes to creating the life you desire. I'm working with clients and I'm seeing their lives transform because we've been working on staying focused no matter what. We've been focusing on, hey, let's focus. What do you want to create? How do you want to create it? And it's so amazing that we were working on so many different things in their life, and now we're starting to fine tune on like the biggest things that are a priority right now, which I've been loving with all the clients that I'm working with. And it's one of those things that you want to make sure that you are staying focused in what you're doing. You're staying focused and not get distracted. I myself fell into the COVID distraction. At first, I wasn't going to get into it. I was just giving little educational pieces here and there. And then I started to see the noise of the media and the lies that they were sharing, or the misinformation, I should say. And I was like, enough's enough. I need to get into this. And I did. And then about 2 weeks in, all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I feeling drained? Why am I feeling energized to do the work I want to do? Why am I inspired to do what I'm going to be doing here? And I noticed that I got caught into the noise. I reset, rebalanced, and I reconfigured and said, what can I do to educate? What's the biggest things I can do to share? And how can I help change people to help them not be fearful? So that's where I started to educate more about health. I'm been educating. If you guys have been following my podcast since March, I've been really hammering on fear, concepts of focus, perception, and all these other things to try to get you away from the fear so that you can empower your life more. Because energy, the law of duality, there's an opposite to all things. So when the world's in a massive state of fear, there is also an opposite that's a massive opportunity for growth. And it's how you are showing up that's going to show you the difference between that. So you want to be crystal clear. Number one, that I'm going to share with you guys is you want to tap into your intuition. If you don't know how, read my book, A Walk in the Dark. Check out the show notes. I'm going to have a great special on there for you guys to get access to it for a short time. And I'm only doing this. I've been going back and forth on this for a while, and I finally decided, you know what? A Walk in the Dark has been the right book to write since October. And look what we've been going through. It's been a dark 2020. Man, people need to really tap into this to really understand their light and how to thrive and evolve to be the person they want. This is a great tool for you. And so I want to be able to share that. I did this in my chiropractic office where I did a discount for care, which I never done to come in as a new patient. In the history of my practice, the history of me being a chiropractor and running my own biz. And I did it because there was a need. I did it because people needed to be able to how to adapt and thrive during this time from a health side. Well, now I'm doing this also from the mind side. Conversations I've been having and the messages that people have been sharing with me and so much more, I'm noticing there is a need for that. And so I want to be able to give a solution that can really help you transform your life on all levels. I'm telling you, this book, the reviews I've seen, the people that shot me messages about what it's done for them, I know this can help you. So I'm not trying to make this podcast about selling my book. I'm just sharing. I'm very passionate about this, and I know that it will, because it's stories and things that I've gone through and things I've learned and things, how little tips that are so small, but they're so massive that can shift your life. And I've seen it already in the works with people and so much more. So please check that out. But these are things, first is you want to tap into your intuition. And then the second thing is stay focused on what it is you want to create. Really get into your feelings. Really tap into what matters most. COVID really challenged people to see what their values really are, what really matters to them most, and what's most important. And I know that this is going to continue on as we go through the rest of 2020. There's going to be more things that are going to come up, and it's going to challenge us, but you want to make sure you're staying focused at all times so you don't let this take the best of you. So that's the second thing I could recommend. The third thing is journal your life like what you want to see happen. Really take a moment and visualize. If you have to do a vision board, do a vision board. Write it out, write it out. What if you had nothing holding you back? No money, no nothing, no limitations whatsoever. What is it that you want to control? That's something I highly recommend for you to check out. That's what I got for you today in this podcast. If you like it, please do me a huge favor. Put a like in the show, subscribe, and also share a review, because this helps get more people to get this information. I want to thank you as always. And until next time, be safe out there. Keep rocking and rolling. And I look forward to connecting with you guys on the next one. Thank you for listening to the podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you on the journey to rediscover who you really are. To connect with us on Facebook, please visit www.facebook.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. Check us out on Twitter. The handle is Dr. Vic21. Follow us on Instagram, www.instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. If you were inspired by the podcast, pay it forward by sharing it with someone who you know can benefit from it. Thank you again for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast, sharing paths to help you rediscover your infinite potential.